All right, welcome back to another one of our film reviews. Today we are talking Detroit Lions rookie defensive lineman Tyleik Williams. Williams in his preseason debut for the Detroit Lions showcased a lot of why the Lions are so high on him and while he'll be a critical part of this defense, not just this season, but for many years to come. We'll break down everything he did so well and why he's a team player, a great fit for what the Lions are trying to do defensively. As always, leave us with any comments in the comment section below with any feedback you might have, or if there's any other players you want us to break down. But without further ado, let's jump right into the film. All right, let's start with the run defense, and there's Tyleik Williams right there lined up on the right side of your screen. He's lined up in what we call a 3 technique on the outside shoulder of the guard right there. If he was on the inside eye of the guard, we would call it a 2-eye technique. So for example, number 90 right here, he's lined up in a 2-eye. If you're on the outside shoulder of the center, like right there, that'd be a 1 technique. Head up the center would be a 0 technique, just to give everyone a refresher on defensive alignments. So right here for the Atlanta Falcons, we're going to get an inside zone concept. So the left tackle is going to work out right there. We're going to get a zone double team between 71 and the center number 52. Zone double team right there, working this direction, working up to the next level. We're going to get a scoop / zone double team technique on the backside. 68, the right guard's going to take a tight scoop path, trying to work up to the next level. Right tackle is going to try and take him over, Tyleik Williams, take him over and cut him off right there. And the running back's going to take this track and try and find an opportunity to cut back, most likely right here. You can see that's where the green grass is. So let's watch Tyleik Williams right here. Anytime you're on a double team, you really have sort of 2 opportunities, or 2, I should say, responsibilities. Number 1 is you can't get heavily dislocated. You can't get blown off the football in any direction. Number 2, you have to create a mass of humanity. You have to have both offensive linemen stay on you. Keep them both contained in a big pile right here so you can free up your linebackers to make plays. That's exactly what Williams does. Let's check it out. All right, there's a snap. You can see the left tackle working out. We can see the zone double teams right there between the left guard and the center. You can see a little movement right there between the Atlanta Falcons. That's what the Falcons are trying to do. That's what, as a defensive lineman, you don't want. You can see how 71 then comes off and gets on the linebacker. That's not great defensive line play right here by this defensive tackle. Let's look at Tyleik Williams right here on the backside. So he gets a double team right there, holds his ground, gets thin, gets skinny, as much as a guy as big as Williams can get skinny. See how he forces 68 to turn his shoulders? This is why you get thin. So right here, 68's on him. Because he's turned his shoulders, you can also see Williams, what he does. See how he takes his knee. It's going to be hard to see right there, guys, but you see how he puts his knee on the ground. It gets thin. That's perfect technique. That's what you're taught to do. It forces these offensive linemen to basically create a pile. What happens? Can't get to linebacker, makes the play. This is team defense right here. This is why you draft Tyleik Williams. This is as good as a tackle for loss. This is as good as a stuff right here. It doesn't show up in the stat sheet for Williams, but he made this play. Again, took 2 guys on him because of his technique, size, and strength. Forced the right guard to turn his shoulders to stay on him longer than he should have. Allows the linebacker to make the play. Nice work from the rookie. Right from the wide copy, you'll get a really good look at it. Watch when the double team happens. See how he turns his knee right there? It's really hard to see. I wish we had a better angle of it. But he gets thin, turns horizontally right there, and turns his knee to the ground. And you can see it forces this guard to turn his shoulders, right? Compare that to the double team right here on this defensive tackle. You see how both offensive linemen are relatively square. They're able to get movement and then come off on the linebacker. Watch what happens when offensive linemen have to double team Williams. Because he turns and gets thin, it forces this guard right here to turn his shoulders, allows the linebacker to make the play. Again, it's not always about, and sometimes it's never about making the play yourself as an interior defensive lineman. It's about freeing up your linebackers to make plays, and that's exactly what Williams does here. All right, sticking with the run defense, there's Williams right there. He's lined up in a 3 technique. Now, I'm going to be totally honest, guys. I have no idea what the Atlanta Falcons are trying to do here up front, right? They have a receiver go in motion pre-snap just like this. They have what looks like base blocks here on the play side. It looks kind of like a double team here, maybe. The left tackle, I don't know what he does, right? It's a mess. I don't know what the Falcons are doing here. But let's watch Tyleik Williams here. A little bit different dynamic. He doesn't get double teams. It's just a base block, and he beats him clean with a nice win. Again, doesn't make the play, but forces the running back into some help, his defensive help. Let's check it out. All right, here comes the motion. There it is. There's a snap. You can see it's kind of weird off the get-go right there. What's going on there? Guys slow out of their stance. Kind of a funky deal here offensively. I have no idea what they're doing. Kind of a double team. Left tackle working up. I have no idea what's going on here. But let's just focus one-on-one on Williams right here. Nice move around the guard. Forces into his help. Nice play. Again, this is good stuff. Again, winning these opportunities. Maintaining his gap, right? He's got this gap, this B gap between the guard and the tackle right there. Does a good job staying in his gap. Forces the running back to bounce around right there. Would like him to make the play. That's sort of the next step in the development. If he can make this play in the backfield, he goes from being a good team defender to a superstar defensive tackle in his own right. I think with more reps, he'll have the opportunity and will showcase some of his playmaking ability. But again, does a good job allowing his teammate to make the play. That is the key with Williams. One of the reasons the Lions drafted him when they did is that they felt he could unleash other parts of their defense. Some people were critical of Detroit when they drafted Tyleik Williams because they said, how good of a playmaker is he? And the answer is that's up for debate. But in terms of making everybody else a playmaker around him, he is an extraordinary guy for that, just like we see here. All right, from the wide copy, you'll see how janky this looks offensively for the Atlanta Falcons, right? This is just, I don't know what's going on here. The coaches probably had to fit watching this film. But again, you can see him. He wins clearly and easily. One-on-one, right guard, base block. Nice move right there, right around the running back. Making the play would make this an all-pro kind of play. But regardless, forces him into his help. His help cleans it up. Winning rep for the Falcons defense. Winning rep for the Lions defense, excuse me. Nice job right here from Tyleik Williams. All right, sticking with the run defense, there's Tyleik Williams right there. He's lined up once again in a 3 technique. He's a little wider 3 than normal. You maybe even call this a 4-eye. I'm still going to call it 3 technique because I think he's playing off the guard. He's kind of at a tilt. He's kind of at an angle right there. So I think he's playing off the outside shoulder of the guard. So I'm still going to call that a tilted 3 technique just like this. So we're going to get a wide zone concept here for the Atlanta Falcons. So everyone's taking a wide zone path just like this, working up to the next level. Right guard working over, center going to give some help right here. They're trying to work over. Fullback trying to lead the way. Backside cutoffs, backside cutoff. Running back's going to take it wide and then try and go north and south. So Tyleik Williams here, once again, he's going to have 2 guys on him. He maintains his position, doesn't get blown off the line of scrimmage, doesn't get dislocated. Remember, the offense in these zone concepts, they're trying to dislocate defenders so that way the running back can find cutback opportunities. Williams doesn't get dislocated, maintains his gap, holds his position on the line of scrimmage, and once again, frees it up for linebackers to make plays behind him. Let's check it out. All right, there's a snap. You can see the wide zone concept for the Atlanta Falcons. Watch Tyleik Williams. He gets into the guard, good extension. You see how parallel his shoulders and feet are to the line of scrimmage? Perfect technique. Doesn't get blown off the football. Maybe even shocks 68 back a little bit. Bench presses him off right there. But the help is going to come, right? The center's coming. The center gets a shot on them right there. Gets a little good movement, but he maintains his ground. Even though he gets dislocated just a hair, he doesn't give up any vertical depth, right? He maintains the edge of the defense, actually builds a better edge of the defense. So as the center gets his shoulders turned like we saw earlier and with a different double team, you can see right here, this linebacker is going to free up, and there he is to make the play. This is what you want, right? Again, sometimes in these double teams, when you get dislocated, they can give up vertical ground. You get driven back 3, 4, 5 yards, and the running back then can just kind of follow it deeper before he has to cut back. But because Tyleik Williams maintains the line of scrimmage and sets the edge, it forces the running back into his help. He's got 2 guys on him, frees up the linebacker. Nice job by the Lions D. All right, from the wide copy, you get a good look at it right there. You see how Tyleik Williams, again, parallel to line of scrimmage, feet, shoulders, good extension. Center has to turn his shoulders, doesn't get a lot of movement, creates a mass of humanity, sets an edge to the defense. Really like to see that. Again, frees up the linebacker to make the play. No one touches him. Linebacker stuffs the running back. People, when the Lions drafted Tyleik Williams, they asked, what plays is he going to make? These are the plays he's going to make, right? Is he going to make 20 tackles for loss? Is he going to be a 15-sack guy or whatever? No, I don't think so. Well, I mean, maybe he will become that. But what he will do is free up his linebackers to become all pros like we see here. All right, how about a little pass rush plus effort? So there's Tyleik Williams right there, once again in a 3 technique, kind of a wider 3 technique. It's a pass rush situation. You can see the Lions' edge rushers, their defensive ends are really wide. He's going to be just one-on-one pass pro in this situation. Right guard, one-on-one on him. Williams, one-on-one, trying to get through, see if he can get pressure on the quarterback. Number 68 does a good job. But again, Tyleik Williams showcases his effort. I love to see the hustle from these young defenders. Let's check it out. All right, there's a snap. You can see one-on-one pass rush right there. Doesn't really do anything. Not a lot of pocket push. Not a great rep there from Tyleik Williams. Not a winning rep. Now, look, he's still a pro guard, number 68. So, again, 68, he's a good player. You don't play in the National Football League, even if it's preseason, if you're not a good football player. And he earns his stripes right there on Tyleik Williams. But watch number 91. Still hustling, still flying, throwing his body around, just kind of leaping. Not the most elegant of player in the world. That's kind of a funny look right there. But again, throwing his body in there. You wonder how you get forced fumbles and recovered fumbles. A lot of it's effort, right? I understand Aiden Hutchinson coming off the edge, getting a strip sack on the quarterback. That gives you a lot of them. But you know another way to get them is fighting through effort, hustling to the football, rallying to the football. That way you force fumbles. Right here, sometimes in the regular season, if that tight end doesn't get all jankied around because of when he gets tackled, this may be a punch out from Williams. Or if that ball comes out, Williams is there to recover it. Again, effort leads to takeaways. Takeaways lead to wins. Dan Gamble has preached that. He's been a huge part of the Lions culture, a huge part of the Lions turnaround the past few years, and Tyleik Williams fits into that absolutely perfectly. All right, from the wide copy, you can see Williams right there at the top of your screen. One-on-one on the guard, doesn't really do anything. Guard does a good job picking him up. But again, the effort, foot in the ground, hustle, effort, gets to the football. Let's compare it to somebody else, right? I don't want to be mean here or too negative, but you can see his teammate right there, his fellow defensive tackle. They both get blocked up right there. Neither of them get pressure on the quarterback. So the ball's gone. Both see the ball gone. Both see it's caught downfield. Both are looking at it. Let's compare the hustle and the effort. Williams dives around, he gets there, he's around the football. That's just another level of effort. Now, it's not like number 90, I think that is for Detroit. It's not like he's loafing. It's not like he's not trying at all. It's just Williams is at a different level. Despite being a big guy, a guy with a lot of poundage, he throws his body around, he fights for the football. Again, fitting perfectly into that Lions culture. All right, going back to a run defense, and there's Williams right there, once again lined up in a 3 technique. It's going to be another inside zone concept here for the Atlanta Falcons, just like we saw before. Left tackle working out. We're going to get zone double team right here, working up to the linebacker. We're going to get a scoop zone double team right here. Tackle working to take over, trying to work up to the next level as well. This is a really interesting play from Tyleik Williams. I don't know if he was, in terms of the scheme or the play design, supposed to kind of take this A-gap, or if he just perfectly read what was coming when he saw these guys move and kind of slid over. But basically, he created a mass of humanity once again right at the line of scrimmage with both of these offensive linemen doing his job at a high level. Let's check it out. All right, there's a snap. We can see the zone tracks once again up front. We can see left tackle working out, double team right there, working up to the next level. Let's look at Tyleik Williams here. You see how he immediately goes to the left side of your screen, his right. I don't know if that was by design. I don't think so. I don't think this was a slant by the the Lions defense, excuse me. I think what happens here is Tyleik Williams recognizes what the Falcons are doing right away. He sees the scoop path of this tackle and just kind of mirrors him and follows it and just basically ends the play before it can get there. Now, he gives up a little ground, maybe gets a little bit too horizontal in his movement, so he gets walked back just a little bit. But creating this massive humanity right here, again, working on this guard. See how he dominates guards? Remember, this guard right here, he's the guy that's going to come off the next level, but instead, right here, he can't come off on anybody. Linebacker's able to make the play. This is one of the underrated aspects of Tyleik Williams' game. Even when he gets up some ground, even when he gets double teamed and walked back a little bit, it's basically creating a massive humanity, opening up for other players. And I think that's one thing the Lions are really excited about. Again, doing your job at a high level, even when it goes bad. So you can see here, let's look at this other defensive tackle, just to give a comparison case. So he gets driven up back a little bit. He gives up some yards, but see how he gives up some horizontal and vertical yards? What it does is it dislocates the entire defense. It allows the running back to potentially fall this direction, potentially go north and south, potentially cut back. But because Tyleik Williams holds his ground right here and creates basically just the line of scrimmage, walk back just another yard or two, it frees up other guys with a clear visual to make the play. Again, he doesn't get dislocated severely, even when it's not his best rep. Once again, great team player. All right, get a good look at it from the wide copy right here. Watch what happens when the double team gets on him. Again, I think he reads this double team coming, this scoop coming, and he just works over that direction. He takes on the two bodies. Again, give credit to the Falcons offensive lineman right here. They get a little bit of movement, but see how, again, he still tries to get skinny, just doesn't quite get there. But I tell you what, he puts two guys on him, and when you have two guys on a defensive tackle just like this, it's going to free someone else up to make the play. We talk about run stuffing nose guards. It's an old cliche. Hey, massa eater, takes up a lot of space. Two guys got to be on him in order to move him. Tyleik Williams is that same kind of guy, but they have him at the 3 technique. And I think that's going to be very interesting in this new zone kind of running schemes we see in the National Football League. Because if you can't get movement, like dislocation, severe movement, you can't run, just like we see here. That's the value of a guy like Tyleik Williams. That's why the Lions drafted him when they did. All right, how about something for Tyleik Williams to work on? There he is right there, line up once again in a 3 technique. This time it's going to be a pass rush opportunity, but it's going to be a stunt for Williams. So what he's going to do, just to clear up the screen right there he is. He's going to work vertically and then work outside to try and pick this right tackle as his defensive end works up the field and then loops around just like this. It's a very common stunt or game in the National Football League, collegiate league. You see it all around. You probably see it in high school. You may see it in like little league, middle school football. And Williams does his job, right? He gets where he is in the 3 technique, starts off there, works up the field, takes on the right tackle and gets to him, but he actually has a chance to beat the right tackle in his own right and get pressure on the quarterback. I think this is an instance where he's so focused on being a team player, he misses out on an opportunity. Let's check it out. All right, there's a snap. You can see Williams working up the field. Then he works into the right tackle, and he grabs him right there. Again, he's trying to pick this right tackle so his defensive end can come around. Great team player. The Falcons do a pretty good job picking it up. Let's watch Williams as this unfolds. He gets on the right tackle. Right there, he actually has him beat to work around to get pressure on the quarterback in his own right, but he throttles it down and just holds on to the right tackle right there for the Atlanta Falcons. I think he's so focused on being a team guy here and holding on to this right tackle just like he was supposed to in terms of the stunt that he misses out on an opportunity. Right there, you did your job, dude. Now just get to the quarterback, right? And I think if he just, this is one of those things where if you're a coach, I wonder how you approach this, because he's a guy that's so focused on being team first, helping out his teammates, that if he's a little selfish here, he actually has a chance to get pressure on the quarterback. What do you tell him if you're a coach? We want you to be more selfish sometimes. That's a hard thing to tell a player. But again, he's right there. He makes the play. He does his job. He beats the tackle. Turn the corner and make the play in your own right. Be a little more selfish, Tyleik Williams. All right, let's end on another run defense. There's Tyleik Williams right there once again at the 3 technique position. Again, a wider 3 technique. Some may call that a 4-eye, but I think a 3 technique is more appropriate. But once again, the Atlanta Falcons are going to run a zone concept right here, working to the defense's left, the right side of your screen. We're going to get a linebacker fire here, actually. So the center is going to pick up the linebacker. Right guard's going to pick up Williams. Right tackle is going to work this direction. Tight end's going to work this direction right there. Again, standard zone stuff. So what happens here is in this one-on-one block, Tyleik Williams stones this offensive lineman, gets a little bit of penetration, keeps everything parallel to the line of scrimmage, sets a good edge right here. He does his job. The problem is, as this unfolds and the running back attacks, the defensive end right here, the edge of the defense, he turns his shoulders, which allows the running back to pop it outside. We're going to compare and contrast good technique, good run defense here, and Williams is really good. Let's check it out. All right, there's a snap. You can see the linebacker blitzing. The center picks him up. Let's watch how this unfolds right here. Right guard gets on Williams. See how he's shocks him, resets the line of scrimmage. See how he's feet, shoulders parallel to line of scrimmage. That's what you want. You're going to see right here on the right side of your screen, see how this defender right there, see how his shoulders are turned? It opens up the outside. You got to stay parallel to line of scrimmage to set the edge. Williams does. He maintains gap. He's dominating 68, ends up putting him into the turf. That's a really good job from Tyleik Williams right there. He's doing his job there. This edge defender, you cannot turn your shoulders. You turn your shoulders like this, you open up the outside. Now, you can make an argument that's holding. I understand all that, but you can't rely on the refs. You got to do your job and execute. If you set the edge right here as an edge defender, if your feet are parallel, if you're like Tyleik Williams here, where you're parallel to line of scrimmage, this running back 41 has to cut back into this massive humanity, and he gets nothing instead of getting a pretty decent gain. They actually did draw the holding penalty there, so it worked out well for the Lions in terms of defensively, but you can't rely on that. You're not going to get that call every single time. Lions fans, you're very well aware of that. You got to have good technique, good sound team defense right here, and that's what Williams is, play in and play out. All right, for the wide copy, good look at Tyleik Williams. Again, look the shock, getting some penetration. He drives the guy back like a yard. Where was the line of scrimmage? What, the 39-yard line of Detroit? Where does he walk this guy back? All the way across the 40-41. Gets 1 or 2 yards of penetration, maintaining his gap, everything parallel to the line of scrimmage. Perfect technique. Can't turn your shoulders right there. Opens up the outside for the defense. Can't have that happen. Tyleik Williams, though, fundamentally sound. Beast inside. Helping out his teammates. Team player. Everything you want in a Detroit Lions defender and interior defensive lineman, Tyleik Williams has brought in his first preseason game. He's got a bright future.